All right, welcome to the Jag Podcast. We got your hosts, Josh, and Karan. Just a couple of guys talking about football. We're all high school flameouts, except for Karan. He didn't even play at all, so it don't really matter. But
He was a running back. Don't put disrespect on him.
we ain't gonna talk about that. But okay, never mind. You couldn't even see Karan.
Let's all right. Besides this, let's get into what happened this weekend. Divisional weekend in the NFL, and we had some great games. We had some heartbreaking games this weekend. Let's take it with a start at the inside Baltimore Texans Ravens. What I thought for the first half. I mean, yes, the Texans offense wasn't doing anything, but that first half was really close. And I think in the second half, they just pulled away. It was just I think at the end of the day, we look at that game and we look at the Baltimore Ravens, and we're gonna appreciate just how amazing this defense is. Like, I think Lamar is MVP. I think he's probably one of the best players on the field. But my lord, that defense just tore apart the Texans offense. CJ Stroud, who looked amazing last week, who looked like, oh my gosh, this rookie could go on a run, just absolutely got torn apart by this defense. Between the linebackers, the secondary, the whole thing. Nothing was working against them. And I think that's the bigger story. I honestly, after watching the game, I question what team can beat them right now. I don't know. I don't know.
Beat himself. And correction, Lamar is the best player on the field. But yeah, they would have to beat themselves, in my opinion. Other than that, as long as they don't turn the ball over, they're good. I agree with
Got to
you
clear
on.
special teams.
It's one play. It's one play. I mean, it happens every now and then. I thought their special teams was fine. Besides that, I mean, you got the best kicker in the game right now, Justin Tucker, and then you got a good enough punter, so you'll be fine. It's just one play. But I agree with you on them not allowing CJ Stroud to beat them, which was great. They did a good job with their front seven. I think their secondary did well too. Constant pressure the whole game was good, whether it was four guys or they blitzed, and I felt like they blitzed a lot more than they usually do, which was nice. Um, he was able to, get CJ Stroud off his game. He couldn't stay in the pocket anymore. He had to constantly be pressured. So he had somebody in his face for the most part, or he would have to scramble out and he had to make a throw on the run. So I thought they did a good job pressuring him, making sure that he couldn't stay in the pocket and made sure that he had to constantly be on the move when he was trying to find somebody. Um, and Marlon Humphrey didn't play. So their secondary is still holding up without maybe not their top guy anymore in the secondary, but one of
But one of
their
the best.
guys
But
that's
one of the
been
best.
on their team for possibly the longest time in that secondary. Yeah, I would say they did a very good job, especially with Nico Collins. I didn't hear his name get called that often. The one guy I really heard a lot was Dalton Schultz, and I mean, even then, Dalton Schultz, every catch he had was contested. It was maybe between like 5 to 10 yards every reception was, and he would have to work for every yard after that. So I thought they did a good job of just constantly pressuring. They didn't allow the run game to happen either because of all that pressure as well too. So they did a good job just making sure their offense could not get going, and they just played all around well, running, passing. Lamar as well made sure that the plays kept going. A lot of the plays that you saw CJ Stroud couldn't make was because he wasn't allowed to stay in the pocket and extend plays. He had to always roll out, so that way you cut off half the field basically. And Lamar, he's a different quarterback than CJ Stroud at this point in their careers right now. So he's got a little bit more understanding of what defenses are in the NFL, and also his coordinator just understanding, how to put your player into better situations and having a game plan to counteract the team that you're playing against. But yeah, Ravens are the top team in the NFL right now, so they showed it.
Um, I agree on several points. What I saw from the Ravens defense, especially with the front seven, is when Matt, like there were several plays where Patrick Queen was one of the blitzing linebackers, and instead of going straight for the running back to just bulldoze him, he runs a stunt with Matabike by hitting so Matabike is in conflict with Scruggs, and as he's in conflict, all you see is Patrick Queen hit him in the side, hit Scruggs in the side, and that got Matabike free to go after C.J. Stroud, which I saw in several plays. So McDonald was very key on his blitzing and how he blitzed in a way that he didn't have to bring a lot of pressure to like 6, but he could bring like a solid 5, and there was gains and stunts and different ways to free up or get better positions. It was a very good scheme by McDonald to keep everything in front of them, not allow Bobby Slowick and his offense to go deep. They limited that very well with the constant pressure to make it easy to limit CJ Stroud's ability and just make it a whole dogfight for him. Like if they were going to score, they were going to have to take it bit by bit by bit. They couldn't do what they've been doing for most of the season, which is using CJ Stroud's deep ball accuracy and timing to just get those big routes for Nico Collins or those large digs for Dalton Schultz. They had to keep it quick, and they had no run game to fall back on. Devin Singletary had all of 20 yards for the entire game. They limited him. So it was an all around defensive just onslaught for CJ Stroud. But props to him and the Texans for an amazing year. They really did. They really did a lot of work this past offseason, and it showed.
Hey, from being number 2 in the draft to being in the divisional round of the playoffs, that's a huge step up.
It is. It is.
So now let's go to the Saturday night game. Green Bay Packers in Santa Clara taking on the 49ers. And this is just, if I'm a Green Bay Packers fan, this is just heartbreaking. This is just, I know the team is young. I know the team, we got to see Jordan Love. We got this far. We should be excited. But the fact that even this team, they had the lead against the 49ers going into the fourth quarter. Kyle Shanahan was 0 for 30 in winning games when they were down by 7 points or more going into the fourth quarter, and the Packers had a 10-point lead, and they blew it. Now, 5 consecutive losses to the Green Bay Packers in the playoffs. That's just
49ers.
It sucks. It really does. It's like all the positives that you can take from Green Bay, it just can be summed up as like, well, we still cannot get over that 49ers hump. And you know what? No matter what the regular season brings, whatever happens, if you cannot get over this hump, there's no Super Bowl. There's no path to the Super Bowl for you because the 49ers will be there every year.
Yeah. I would say the same. Okay.
But I will say Brock Purdy looked very human. At the end of the day, he had the clutch drive. But not that great numbers. George Kittle had a drop too. It didn't really feel like that 40. I don't think, sometimes the bye week, you come off of it and you have that little rust. It kind of just felt like they had rust the whole entire game for the 49ers. And it really wasn't until that last drive when it was like you have to have it moment when they were able to get that done, finish the job, just because of I just also think they just have purely more talent than the Packers do, which is not anything against them. It's just state matter of fact. The 49ers have way more talent than the Packers do. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why they ended up squeaking by and winning that game. But I don't think they'll be able to get away with that in the future. And they're gonna have to figure it out this week. What's this rust going on the whole team, not just the offense, defense too.
Ooh, you think? Okay, you think the defense also? All right. I want to talk about Purdy a little bit. How you just brought that up. I feel the same way about Purdy. I was not. I don't feel confident about how Purdy played in this game. I felt Purdy played a little scared. If anything, he was a little frantic at some points, and he didn't make plays that I'm used to seeing him make. And I brought it up last week. I feel if any one of their core players gets hurt, I feel they're not gonna be able to make it to the Super Bowl, and even if they do, they're not gonna win it. And I feel like that's exactly what happened. Once Debo stepped out the game, Purdy just started. I don't even know what he was doing at that point. It's like something just clicked in his head. Like I don't have Debo, but you still have Ayuk, you still have Kittle, you still have McCaffrey, and even you have Jawan Jennings when he comes in after Debo goes down. Jawan Jennings made a whole bunch of plays. So I don't know what it is, but it's like once one guy goes down, it just turns into chaos kind of. But I mean, like you said, they squeaked it out at the end still. In my opinion, the difference was just that the 49ers offense is more comfortable with taking checkdowns than the Packers offense is. Um, I feel the 49ers took away deep routes later on in the game for the Packers. After they had been down for that long, the fourth quarter comes and they actually start playing well. I guess they just got more comfortable as the game went on. And the Packers just didn't want to, like Jordan Love. I don't think he really wants to take checkdowns. He wants to go for the big plays. And
Gunslinger.
yeah,
Brett
well,
Favre,
there
the
you go. I mean,
gunslinger.
but you can't say it's that bad of a thing because I mean they had success with Brett, and then they had success with Aaron, and I assume they're gonna have success with Jordan. But you got to be able to take the checkdowns at times. I mean, the reason why I feel the Packers lost is because one, they lost the turnover battle, and two, they had that turnover on downs at the beginning of the game where they could have came up with 3 points and they ended up coming out with nothing. If they would have had those 3 points, game would be tied. And if they didn't throw, well, if he didn't throw that one pick on the check down to his tight end, that's one. And then the last pick that he threw, which was a cross body, across field, which, I mean, the game was mostly over anyway, but that's two turnovers to none. And
Into double
unless,
coverage too. Don't forget
exactly.
that. Crossbody across the field into double coverage off his back foot.
Yeah.
I,
I'm not really gonna like say like, oh, like this is what this situation was and this is how you threw your pick because it was towards the end of the game. He was kind of like, I have to throw it up, so I'm just gonna throw it up now. So yeah, but really I think the lack of wanting to take checkdowns and wanting to throw the ball downfield every single play is what really bit them in the butt here. So yeah, that's what I think the difference was between those two teams, and that's why the 49ers won. In addition to, like you said, talent. But yeah, Packers are still a good team, and I see them coming back next year. But 49ers are good.
Um, what I saw from that game was missed opportunities and poor, poor, poor decision making. That's what I got. Otherwise, because Green Bay, they were outrunning them. They were for most of the first half and into the second half. They were out gaining them. They were out throwing them. They were able to move the ball pretty easily down the field. Brock Purdy wasn't comfortable in the rain. He went from gloves at the beginning to wiping his hand mid pat on a drop back. He did not look sturdy. He did not have a good game until it really mattered, and that's we can say a lot to that. But nevertheless, he did not look good for most of that game. For the Packers, like Josh said, they should not. They had the points. They should have just took the points there. When it comes to Jordan Love's play, solid for most of that game. I liked a lot of the throws he was able to make. Then he made the on that final drive. It was first down. You were able to move the ball most of the game down the field. You didn't have to. You did not have to go across your body at that moment. You had plenty of time to read your keys. No one was open. Throw it away. You live for second down. They had plenty of time to march down the field if they needed that field goal. But he rushed the throw. He made one of the most irresponsible, like cardinal rules of quarterback play. Do not throw back across the field. It is an easy interception every time. Um, but I liked how they used Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones was amazing for that game. Uh, Ripping off several big runs. He was gashing the 49ers defense, and that's where I think they will have a little bit of trouble coming next week against the Detroit Lions. Because that if Aaron Jones can do that, Jahmyr Gibbs is going to do a lot worse, as we've already seen from the other divisional game we'll talk about later. But yeah, the 49ers, I see a few chinks in their armor in terms of if you get a good pass rush outside of Trent Williams, can you really protect Brock Purdy? And in those moments, can Brock Purdy hold up? Because and like Josh said, if he loses one core player, he does not seem as comfortable or as fluid in the offense, and that can lead to tips and overthrows, and that leads to interceptions. So hopefully they calm down a little bit after their 3 weeks in this game, and we'll see what they come for the Lions in Detroit.
Bills Chiefs, heartbreaker. Like the last game was a heartbreaker for the Packers. This is like I don't even know what to describe this one. This is pure pain for all Buffalo fans out there. I don't
Good.
know
Buffalo's offense played well.
until they
Their
didn't.
defense could
He
not
said
hold
no,
up.
they didn't.
I said no until they didn't.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Good. I'm happy they
it,
lost.
it became a point for, in my eyes, where when the game got tight, Josh Allen tried to do too much.
That's what
That
their offense is, though.
No, for most of that game, they were doing solidly with James Cook running the ball efficiently, Josh Allen picking his moments to run, but not using it as a main focal point and taking what the defense was giving them. On that deep shot to Diggs, where Diggs drops it, there's a wide open underneath the drag route that would have got you your first down and would have made your kick a lot easier on 2nd and 9. But no, we had to go for a deep shot. It,
That's
it
how it
that
is.
that didn't make that. That's why I say Josh Allen was trying to do too much when the game was really
Hmm.
really tight. Instead of doing what he was doing throughout the whole game, taking what the defense was giving him. He was taking the checkdowns. He wasn't going deep. He was fine. He was moving the pocket, moving his pocket maneuverability was solid. He didn't look to run when nothing was open. He waited, found his check down, and carried the offense forward until it got tight. And that's where I feel like he got into a big competition with Patrick Mahomes because Patrick Mahomes was killing them. All we saw was MVS starting to actually catch a football and Rashee Rice doing his thing and Isaiah Pacheco just running
Dog.
angry through everything and everybody. Nothing was stopping him. Midway through the third into the fourth, just a monster. You did not want to tackle that man.
He gets better as the game goes on. Yeah.
But um, what I saw was just their defense. Buffalo's defense couldn't hold up on key possessions, and Buffalo's offense just got ahead of themselves when they should have just stayed calm and stuck to the plan. And I put that part on Josh Allen.
Now, I want to ask you, do you feel like, I guess that's the difference in the two QBs, or that's the difference in how the two teams decide to play? And I mean, because we see Pat, come up big in all these type of games, right? And we worried throughout this whole regular season about how they were going to be able to play in the playoffs because it doesn't look like how it's looked in the past couple years. But we know when it comes to Josh Allen, their team is Josh Allen, and we've seen that over the past couple of years. It's been the same way. Even though they have a guy in James Cook that we know can carry the football, which is what they've been looking for in a running back, which is
And
why they
that
went through Devin Singletary, which is why they went through I forget what the other guy was, man. But it was Devin Singletary and it was somebody else. I forget who it was, but whoever it was before him. That's why they picked these other running backs, but now they finally got their guy. And I know you say that he was running the ball well, But at the end of the day, we know what their team is going to do, and they're just going to give it to Josh and let him do whatever the hell he can do so they can bring him through. So now,
Now
my question to
that
you
I
is, yeah, that's my question. Do you think it's
it's the
the
QBs.
quarterbacks or do you think it's the teams?
It's the QBs because once they let go of their OC and moved on to Joe Brady, we saw more of James Cook. We saw more of a consistent run game. We saw more of taking what the defense gives you, not going crazy for deep shots when things get tight, and that's when we saw Josh really flourish in those final 6 games where he was what 5-1 versus what he was like earlier in the season when he was doing what he was always doing because they didn't trust their run game. Their old OC didn't trust their run game. He didn't trust James Cook. We saw it in the rotation and how many times James Cook carried the ball in the first half of the season to now in the later half of the season once Joe Brady took over. What I saw in that game, it was just one quarterback who's gifted and will be a Hall of Famer and one and the other trying to catch up to that by doing just a bit too much out of what he was supposed to do in those moments. Like take your checkdowns. You have a wide open drag route. No one's there. You could easily get that first down on 2nd and 9. To bomb it 60 something yards to Stephon Diggs just doesn't make sense in that. Because you got time. It's not like it's 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. It was like 8-9 minutes. That's one of their. I was one of those 2 or 3 and outs that they were having where Josh didn't have to do that. Josh didn't have to take that shot, but that was him saying, in his mind, I have to make this play. I have to make this throw. When he could have just said, I can take my check downs, we can march down the field and take the lead again. But he felt it got tight, and once he felt it got tight, he started making crucial mistakes. Back to old Josh.
I think it's less just Josh Allen. I think it's a full team problem. I mean, yes, Josh Allen had his too much gunslinger mentality. I think you brought that point up. I think a second point to bring up is that last drive. If you look back and you really start to think about it, they threw on 2 to 3 deep balls into the end zone when there was a minute 40 left in the clock. And I'm thinking to myself when I was watching it, I was like, you're only down 3. Why are you throwing it to the end zone with a minute 40 left in the clock? Do you want Patrick Mahomes to get the ball back and take it down the field? Because that's what's going to happen. That's what you are trying to make happen instead of just trying to take the plays in front of you. So, yes, I do think that Josh Allen plays a point into this. However, it's not just him. It's a whole. We can also talk about Tyler Bass, who deleted all of his social media this morning. I don't know why he deleted all of his social media. It's not like anybody in Buffalo. He better stay out of the streets of Buffalo. He better stay out the streets of Buffalo for his safety.
No one's in the streets of Buffalo. No one's in the streets of Buffalo. It's snowing too much.
They
Come
will
on.
be. Those
You
fans
know they're
will
out
be
in the
looking for
streets.
him, bro. Right
Stop
now,
it.
they are looking for him. He better stay in his house. He better hire
They
security, bro.
they volunteer to shovel their own stadium just to go to their own game and have to pay money. That's crazy. They will be out in the streets.
They will be looking for him. But it's not just him. We're talking. You know what? You mentioned the name, and then I want you to look back at the game, and I want you to think of this. Where was Stephon Diggs? The man that had all this controversy this offseason about not getting targets. The man that's like, I'm the number one wide receiver. Gabe Davis is down. We need you to step up. This is it. This is your moment to shine. Josh Allen needs you. Shakir's a good receiver, but he's a solid number 3. He's not number 2. It's all on you. You are the number 1.
Yep.
This is, the playoffs are when the stars shine. And this is your chance to shine. And what did he put up? What's his stat line? Let's see. He had 8 targets and 3 catches for 20
Damn.
yards.
Yeah, no,
That
that's not
is
gonna
your
cut
number
it.
1 receiver.
It's not
That's
gonna
it.
cut it.
That's not going to cut it. So it's not just Josh Allen. That's who's he supposed to throw it to? I mean, yes, Dalton Kincaid had a couple of catches and some nice catches and everything. But even look at their touchdowns. It was Josh Allen who got them those touchdowns. He was a running back on those plays. He was running over people, willing his team to victory. So you can't just blame it all on him because he's the reason why they're even in the game by his willpower alone to get into the end zone. Because no one else in the team was helping him. James Cook had an okay game, but it was
I
okay.
disagree with that. I disagree with that. There were crucial runs by both Ty Johnson that got them into the end, got them into scoring position. There were crucial runs by James Cook that got them into various scoring positions. Shakir played outstanding for most of that game, getting crucial third down catches or crucial 2nd and 5 catches. First and 10 catches that
You're
made it
supposed to do. You're
second and
supposed to make
3.
the catches. When you're open, you're supposed to make the
And,
catches.
and
When the lane's
Kincaid,
open, you're supposed to run through the lane.
and Dawson Knox
But you have to
were
take it
stellar.
above and beyond.
He had help. He had help. A
Not from
lot
his
of his
number one
players
receiver.
On the
solidly didn't
Stephon
play.
Diggs point, I can
But
agree with you on
except
that.
Stephon Diggs,
Yeah.
I will say that Stephon Diggs did not play well, but you can't say he had no help. The run
He
game was
needs help from his stars. Stephon Diggs is his star player. This again, it's the playoffs. We saw in all these games. Did CMC have a bad game? No, CMC went off. Did Lamar Jackson have a bad game? No, Lamar Jackson had a great game. When your stars, did Patrick Mahomes have a bad game? No, Patrick Mahomes did what he needed to get done, and the receivers got everything done. But when your stars do not show up in the big time game, even last week, when did Stephon Diggs have a big game last week either? No. I'm pretty sure in this playoffs he had his PFF is a 45.9.
PFF.
Whatever you want to say about that, that
Oh
is
man.
terrible. But it's not just the PFF. If you watch the games, he looked terrible. He's not playing with number one wide receiver that they're paying him to be, and they need him to be with Gabe Davis out.
No, I agree. Every other team that won this week, their top guy did what they needed to do. Amon-Ra St. Brown did what he needed to do. Lamar did what he well. The Ravens didn't actually need somebody at the end because the game was already blown out by that point. But at the end of the game, each team had their top guy do what they needed to do. The 49ers, CMC did what he needed to do. He got them that late touchdown. So I agree with that Stephon Diggs point. I do. Stephon Diggs needs to, if you're not going to play throughout the whole game and really show up, at least at the end in that, quote unquote clutch moment, you need to come up and help your team out.
So at the end of the day, that's just it. I just think they didn't show up, and all those fans fed the pit for nothing, bro. They jumped through tables for nothing. Another year of disappointment.
Yep. Yep. Okay. All right. Let's move on, man. This is the last game that we're going to talk about, the Bucks and the Lions. This is Josh's team, man. The Bucks, man. I'll just go real quick. And I mean, honestly, I'd like to go me, Karan, and then Josh. Let Josh finish it off. But um, I see it as the Bucks. Their O line, they had trouble the whole game. Blitzes, DB blitzes. That's what it was. Off the edge, they had trouble picking those up. I don't know if it was.
Aaron Glenn. Aaron Glenn called a beautiful defensive game because it was disguised extremely well. No one knew where they were coming from. There are several points where Baker just flat out missed the protection, and it was just like how. And I credit that to Aaron Glenn and his defensive scheme on how he was going to blitz the Tampa Bay offense. But continue,
That's
Josh.
what I was gonna say. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I didn't think Baker picked it up because I think if Baker would have picked it up, you would have heard it in the pre-snap, and I didn't hear any pre-snap adjustments looking for blitzing corners. So I would say, yeah, the defense coordinator did a good job, as well as the players on the field not tipping off the QB or offensive lineman that you are coming until you actually do start going. And at that point, it's too late. You got a couple where the offensive line was shifting over to the opposite side of the field, or either Rashad White gets a fake handoff and he ends up falling down to the ground while a guy runs right by him. So, um, but yeah, I think even with that happening, Baker did a good job in my opinion. Now, we said it last week about Baker needing to play a game where he doesn't turn the ball over and he needs to show up. I think he did the same exact thing today. And I feel like Mike Evans just I don't understand where all the drops are, but he also made a lot of big plays as well. So in a way, Mike Evans let him down sometimes, but then times like he did a great job for him. Um, But when it came to, identifying when I need to target Mike Evans, he did a great job of doing that, especially when they weren't playing with the safety over the top of him. If Mike was going to the outside, he would throw it. If it was one on one, give the ball to Mike, and that's what you need to do. And I don't see it as a force because you got other guys in your team named Chris Godwin who are invisible.
And I
Invisible,
give
really, when it comes to it.
Kate Otten really came along really solidly this season. Watching some Tampa Bay's games, Kate Otten was slowly becoming one of a solid to really good tight end in this league, a reliable target for Baker. So hopefully he steps it up next year. Um,
He'll keep going.
but
And the
yeah,
last thing I got to say is just about Jamel Dean going down. Detroit did a good job throughout the whole game, and especially when Jamel Dean went down. I think they started off the second half by having a three and out, but after that they decided, all right, cool. We know that this guy is the weak link in their defensive secondary, so we're just going to target him every single play now. And they did that, and they scored what on the last three straight drives, no?
yeah.
So
Uh,
yeah, it's just
the,
figuring out what you need to attack. You attack it. If it works, it's not broken, so don't fix it. Just keep going at it. I think really that's what it is. Unfortunately, Jamel Dean did go down, but they saw something in their defense that they could take advantage of, and they took advantage of it, and they got it to their best guy, Amon Ra, at the end of the game, and he did what he needed to do.
um, I saw some very interesting defensive plays by the Tampa Bay defense. Devin White specifically, I did see on several plays where he didn't play a lot this game, but when he did, he made crucial errors that caused some various big plays and big touchdowns to happen. Um, I see that as this for me. It was his last game as a Buck. They're definitely going to move on from him. Um, I saw Antoine Winfield get pretty much moved through the end zone by Jahmyr Gibbs. Um, and I saw Detroit's run game constantly pick up steam as the game went along. And for some strange reason, I didn't see a lot of Vita Vea towards that second half. There were very various deep gas runs where I was like, where's 50? 5-0. He's supposed to be in the
They even got
middle.
the tush push off on him too when they stopped it last week against Philly.
I'm like, that Vita Vea, if you're going to stop the run, you need him to stay on the field. Kalijah Cansey, solid player. Good draft pick by the Bucks. Tryon Sharinka, where do you put him? Is
I
is
didn't
he an
hear him the whole
edge
game.
linebacker? Because he's decent. Well, I wouldn't even say decent at edge. He's just there. He's solid. Like he doesn't get a lot of pressure, but he does something. I give him credit. He does something. But you can't put him in coverage. He's gonna get cooked.
He does something. I don't know what it is, but he does something.
And to that I say, yeah. All right, Josh. It's all on you. Talk.
Yo,
All
he
right.
does something.
He does. He does. He does. I don't know about that, man. We'll go through everything. Let's
Oh
go through
man,
everything again, like you said.
yeah.
Mike Evans, crucial drop in the beginning of the game that led to the pick.
Hmm.
I don't know what's going on with him, but I think he picked it up in the second. Like you said, he picked it up at the moment. As soon as they identified that one-on-one, they did it. However, I did notice that Detroit's defense towards the second half of that game, they started to realize what was happening, and they started to roll over coverage on
Yeah,
top of Mike Evans, which led to more incompletions. And that, that's on the offensive coordinator for realizing what's happening, and now realizing that, Chris Godwin is now on a one-on-one. He can still win. Chris Godwin's still a really good player. Trey Palmer had a one-on-one, and he absolutely cooked the defender, and he couldn't get him the ball. And that goes to the second part of what you guys were saying. Tampa Bay's offensive line. Aaron Glenn, amazing job. He, disguising those blitzes, like you said, I don't know. I think it's more in the center. I'm pretty sure the center in our our team's supposed to call out defenses, like who's rushing. So I'm pretty sure
By
he
Tiff as
sets
well or no?
the guys, and he just did not pick that up. And the tackles, they've been playing really good all season, but they didn't get the read, and then they didn't read the right. They didn't also read themselves. They should have maybe picked it up, but they they didn't do it, and they didn't get the job done. So, and those sacks, it was 4 sacks in the game, and you're just like, okay, that's bad. But then when you look at those situations when those sacks happened, and that was the ball game. That straight up was the ball. There were 3 of them. We were in the red zone, or not red zone, but in the verge of scoring on a field goal,
Yeah,
in field
takes
goal
you out of field
range.
goal range. Yep.
Takes us out of field goal range. The one led to the interception by Mike Evans because we were trying to force a deep ball. Those sacks were the ball game. Like that was it. And congratulations to Detroit's defensive line and defensive coordinator and corners for identifying that weakness and exploiting it at the right moments against the Bucks. Um, for Detroit's defense itself, also Cameron Sutton, I'm sorry, you got cooked. It is what it is. It happens. Mike Evans is just a better receiver. That's all it is. It sucks, but Mike Evans is 6'5" and like 200 something pounds. You're gonna have days like that. I think he's gonna rebound next week. I mean, I don't know what Debo's status. Brandon Ayuk's a good player too, but I think there's less weapons on their offense that with Debo down now for them to be able to roll over coverage to help him with Ayuk. So I think he'll have a rebound week, but tough week. I mean, it is what it is. You got tough matchups sometimes. This was a tough matchup for him. Um, other side of the ball, Detroit's offense still really good. Identified mismatches on the Bucks defense. It was really, first half I was like, man, where's Gibbs at? It was all Montgomery, and then the second half when the defense is tired and everything, they unleashed
That
Gibbs
is very
and
smart.
yep, very
I
smart, and
didn't
it
catch
worked
that.
amazing. Gibbs, unstoppable, unstoppable. Like I don't know, the defense we
Out in
had
space,
no plan
yeah.
for them. We had no plan.
He's crazy in space.
So great. Detroit has a great offensive coordinator. That's Ben Johnson's just amazing, and they came up with a plan. They executed the plan extremely well. I think the Bucks defense they did really well. Vita Vea was missing for some plays, but at the same time, it he was winning his matchups. He was getting in the backfield. He was blocking lanes. It just didn't matter because he was just bouncing to the outside into open space, and you know,
And that's
or
good
the
on the
way that the
coordinator's point.
scheme works too, with
Yeah,
how they're
that's good
blocking.
by the coordinator as well too, to make sure, okay, we saw 50s off the field, run it down the middle.
Yep, and then they would do hurry up offense while he was off the field as well. They did that a lot. You'll see they found the right matchup, and then they would just start going hurry up while he's not on the field, and they were exploiting that to the maximum. So again, masterclass offensive
Job.
coordinating job, masterclass offensive job. Um, Now let's talk about some players. Let's talk about some players on the Bucks
Before we
defense.
actually do go into the players real quick, because last week I remember a lot of the games that we talked about. We said it was a lot on coaching. This week, I don't really think it was as much, but
I thought this game was a lot of coaching.
defense is coaching. You can see that their coordinators are doing a very good job. So we'll see what happens in this offseason if any of their coordinators get poached. But if not, they can
There's a
they can
there's a
keep
real
going,
chance
man.
both of them get poached, just like the Eagles last year.
Yeah, and we saw what happened that time. So hopefully it doesn't happen because the Detroit Lions are very good. I really want to see them keep going.
On
Yeah.
Bucks defense side,
hmm
yep. As soon as Dean went out, that was a huge weakness that they identified and they exploited. McCollum is, he's an up and coming, but he's not
It's
Dean,
not there yet. Yeah.
and you can see, Antoine. Well, before we get there, Devin White being on the field, I cannot wait for him to be out of Tampa. I loved him. I thank him for his Super Bowl run. He was a key part for us winning that Super Bowl, and I will appreciate him forever for that. That said, he needs to get the excuse my language. I'm tired. I'm tired of it. I'm tired. I'm tired of seeing him on the field. I'm tired that Todd Bowles loves him so much and continues to play him, even though he's clearly washed now. He clearly doesn't know what's happening on the football field all the time. Not just sometimes, all the time. He doesn't know what's happening on the football field. I can't take it. I'm so happy he's going to be gone. I'm sorry. I love you. I appreciate you. It's time for us to part ways. Just like with Quan Alexander, peace. I wish you good luck with whatever team you go to, and whatever team gets him, just understand he is a blitz specialist that cannot be an outside linebacker because he has no moves, but can also be a liability in coverage and cannot tackle running backs and cannot tackle anybody for that out of the fact. Cannot read defenses, cannot read offenses. So good luck. Good luck to whatever team gets him. Besides that, Antoine Winfield. Yep, he had a pretty terrible postseason. I would say last week he lit up the only touchdown the Eagles had with to Devontae Smith. That was on him to against the Lions. Terrible angle on that tackle, and then just to get carried into the end zone. Not again, you expect your star players to play. Antoine Winfield was the
Yes.
star player for the defense. He did not have his best game, and it showed. So at the end of the day, that's a key reason why we lost the game.
I
Star
won't
players didn't
even
show up.
give him bad angle. Like it was literally like it was a straight line, like a Oklahoma drill. They were just lined up together, and Gibbs just made a cut. And you actually said it before, which I thought was a very good point. This was later on in the game, so Gibbs was fresh, and these guys have already all been out there playing, and he just got outran to the corner, and he got stiff armed. Yes, but even so, like it was a hard play. I mean, it's one
It
on
was
one
hard
in
play,
the
but
open
it
field
wasn't going to
in
be
the
easy.
literal middle of the field. He can go any way he wanted to go. So
However,
yeah,
he's our best player in the defense. He
he's
has to.
your all pro
He
safety.
is not even just he is the best player in the defense
Hmm.
right now. Levante David's up there, but right now Antoine Winfield this season was playing like the best player in the
Yeah.
defense.
Yep.
He needs to show up. Todd Bowles, defensive coordinator, you need to. I don't know what happened in the second half, but you got 3 straight touchdown drives. Something, I don't know what happened. You need to figure that out. Anyway, but don't let Winfield's not so great postseason affect his regular season stats, which takes us to our
We're
next
talking
topic.
about defensive player of the year now.
Yep, let's go into this defensive player of the year. And, everyone has names they want to say. TJ Watt, respectable. Miles Garrett is the big one for defensive player of the year right now.
Yep.
Really good. Deron Bland, the 6 touchdowns.
Eh,
Okay, that's pretty impressive though. Pretty
it is.
impressive.
Yes. End of the year, he's
I
nothing though. So
I still feel, and I will continue to hammer this point home, that Antoine Winfield Jr. deserved to be in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year, and as a matter of fact, deserved to probably even win it over those other guys.
He's on drugs.
Why do I say this? Well, let's take a step back for a second, all right?
Take several steps back.
Let's take a step back, all right? Let's go back to Miles Garrett, the
Like
leading
15.
defensive player of the year candidate right now. 16
uh-huh.
games played this season, 4 forced fumbles with a fumble recovery and 14 sacks and 42 tackles this year. Really,
Mhm.
really good numbers. 14 sacks, 17 tackles for a loss. Really, really good numbers.
Yes.
All pro
Now
numbers.
let's just back up another year. Let's go back to 2022 when Nick Bosa won Defensive Player of the Year. Do you know what his stats were that year?
Josh.
He had 18 and a half sacks with
Okay.
50 tackles and 10 tackles for a loss, as well as a safety. He was on another level, Nick Bosa that year. And he, deservingly deserved whatever to get Defensive Player of the Year.
At least so. Correct. Yeah, you're good.
Deservedly so, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Miles Garrett is in that category. 14 sacks is not that great, and I don't even think T.J. Watt. I mean, T.J. Watt had
I think he had 18 and a half.
let's see, 'cause I want to get an accurate number here.
Yeah, and TJ played all the regular season games as well.
Yeah,
So he had
T.J. Watt had
17.
19 sacks
19. See, yeah, okay, I was off by half.
and the pick
Yeah, man.
with 68 tackles. So I think in that respect, I would say I think TJ Watt is definitely more deserving than Garrett. Even though Miles Garrett was, you know, game record for that Cleveland Browns defense, I think TJ Watt was deserving of it more. But now, let's look at Antoine Winfield's numbers for this season. Antoine Winfield ended up with 3 interceptions, 12 passes defended,
Yep.
6 forced fumbles,
Most play safety this season.
4 fumble recoveries, 6 sacks, 8 QB hits, 122 tackles, and 6 tackles for a loss as a safety. Those are insane numbers. Insane. You know,
It's all pro numbers.
those are
All
definitely,
pro numbers.
those are
Those are all pro
definitely
numbers.
Pro Bowl numbers, definitely.
All
Let's look
pro.
at Pro Bowl deserving numbers and all pro first team, which he did get. Now let's look at some other safeties that won Defensive Player of the Year. Let's go back to 2007. Bob Sanders won it with a stat line of 2 interceptions, 6 pass defense, 1 fumble recovery, 3.5 sacks, and 97 tackles. Antoine Winfield got him beat on all those categories. Let's even go to one of the greatest players of all time, Troy Polamalu, who won the Defensive Player of the Year in 2010. He had 7 interceptions, 11 passes defended, 1 forced fumble, 1 sack, 63 tackles, and 6 tackles for a loss with 2 QB hits. One of the greatest defensive players of all time when he won his Defensive Player of the Year award. And the only stat that he has more than Antoine Winfield is interceptions, but it's only by a couple more.
You can double them.
Let's
I'm just saying. He did double them.
He did double them. But he also, Antoine Winfield also has the 6 forced fumbles versus his 1. So if you add all turnovers together, Antoine Winfield has the edge over that.
Correct. I got you.
Now let's even go more recent. Let's go to Stephon Gilmore, who won Defensive Player of the Year back in 2019.
Yep.
One of the last DBs to win it in the last couple of years. He had 44 tackles, 6 interceptions, and 1 fumble recovery. Now, granted, he was lockdown corner that year. I will say that. But you look at that stat line, and then you look at what Winfield put up this year, and you can't say that Winfield doesn't deserve to be inside this Defensive Player of the Year category in the conversation, especially over people like Myles Garrett.
I took some stats back from 2012, trying to look to see about non-pass rushers that did win Defensive Player of the Year award, because I feel like the Defensive Player of the Year is mostly a pass rusher award at this point. I got 2 guys, and those are JJ. Oh, I'm sorry, my bad. I got 2 guys. Those are Luke Kuechly, and that was Stephon Gilmore, who you did bring up. So unless you are a pass rusher, I feel like, yes, you have to be a game changer on defense who wreaks havoc on offenses, and your defense as a unit is a top defense in the league. So right now, even for Kuechly, I know when Kuechly won it in 2013, right, the Panthers defense was ranked 2nd in points allowed, because points allowed is the name of the game, right? It's either you give up points or you score points. So they were top defense there. Same thing with Gilmore in 2019 when he won the award. The Patriots were 1st in points allowed. And this year, even though Antoine Winfield had those great numbers, and you did sway me with those numbers, I'm not gonna lie, Tampa ended up this year as the 7th ranked defense in points allowed. So they're not really a top team in points allowed. They are a good defense, but are they a great defense? Are they like a top defense in the league, as well as Winfield being a game changer on defense? He may make great plays for them and he has great numbers, but I don't know if he's like a game changer for them. And then other than that, I mean, you've got guys, like I said, pass rushers, Aaron Donald, JJ Watt, guys who've won it 3 times over their term in the NFL. that just, they constantly change the game. Like Aaron Donald, just over and over again. He won it in 2017, 2018, and 2020. And this is why I say it's a pass rusher award because Aaron Donald, his defense was ranked 12th in points allowed in 2017. 2018, they were ranked 20th, and he still won it. And the only year that they actually had a great defense was in 2020, and that's when they were first in points allowed. Guys like J.J. Watt as well, he was ninth when he won it in 2012, 2014, and 2015. The Texans were ranked ninth in points allowed, seventh in points allowed, and eighth. So I really don't believe that Antoine Winfield is gonna make it just because he's not a pass rusher like those two. But he could definitely make a case for it. He definitely can because those numbers are crazy numbers, but I just don't see it happening.
I I agree with Sanders on this one. Antoine Winfield's numbers are spectacular, but watching that Tampa Bay defense, it was like there Antoine was the only person on the field actually doing what they were supposed to be doing, and it benefited him.
That is true, yeah, because it's really just like his numbers are crazy, but it's like okay, but
He
your
was
defense
doing his
isn't
job
that
when
good.
others were doing theirs
Yeah,
at a solid to efficient level. Um, but for my personal defensive player of the year, I believe Antoine Winfield is in the discussion for it, but I have to go T.J. Watt. T.J. Watt, along with Alex Highsmith, were this season were a problem. Like they covered up so much of the secondary's actual deficiencies.
yeah,
Outside of Joe Porter, they had nobody because Minka Fitzpatrick was constantly in and out of the lineup. Deontay KZ was ass. Um, and it looked like they were outside of the front seven. It's like what was worrisome about this Pittsburgh Steelers defense? Like it wasn't much.
not even the team in general.
But TJ Watt was a force all year, killing. So watching the tape, I got to give it more to TJ Watt, but Antoine Winfield does deserve to be in the conversation.
But yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. I don't think he'll get it. I think he really did have a historic season as a safety, but I don't think his impact was high enough. And it goes against him, in my opinion, that he's not a pass rusher, quote unquote. But we'll see what happens. So after that, we'll go to Offensive Player of the Year. Right now, Offensive Player of the Year, since Lamar most likely has NFL MVP locked up, we'll go with Offensive Player of the Year being a non-quarterback. In my opinion, it'll be CMC because
Absolutely.
I don't think you can give.
You can't equate his ability to pass, catch, and run to any other player in the league right now, and how
Yeah,
efficient he's leagues ahead of every other running back in both yards and pass yards and rush yards. So there's not much you can do against him. You put a linebacker on him, that's just asking for an easy touchdown. You'll have to bring a safety down, and even in that case, he could still beat the safety. Like CMC is one of the most electrifying game changers I have seen in the modern NFL. He is the prototype for the new running back that you need to succeed in this league. You need a pass catcher and one who's a pass catching running back who's tough enough to run between the tackles and gain you some tough yards when you need it. He does both efficiently well.
I agree with that. Same thing. I mean, he could block too. There's another thing. I feel like he does every part of his position that he needs to do, and like you said, he does it efficiently. There's no wasted actions with him. Another thing is that he also played every game this season too. Did not miss any games. Like He has been, in the past, unfortunately. So he's gonna give you he's gonna give you good blocking. Make sure your quarterback stays protected. He's gonna chip when he needs to, then go out for a pass, catch the ball, get some run after catch yards. He's going to get carries, whether it's inside the tackle box or if it's on the outside, and he'll spring it out for some more yards after that. So he's going to hit you in multiple parts of the game, whether it's catching, whether it's running, or if it's blocking, even. He'll do all of that. And I feel like he allows for their offense to be the way it is. And we know the 49ers offense is a run first offense. The only problem with that is that the 49ers, unfortunately, for some reason, their running backs constantly get hurt. And luckily this year they had a guy in CMC who just did not get hurt at all. Even behind him, Elijah Mitchell was out a lot of the games, and people probably didn't even notice that because CMC doesn't get off the field in the first place. And then the years before CMC even got there, they would have Jeff Wilson, they would have Raheem Mostert, guys like that, and they would be on and off every other game. It makes it hard for your offense to stay as consistent as it can be when the reason why your offense is going is because you can run the ball. So I think even having CMC adds another dimension to your offense, which is going to allow for not only you as a defense having to worry about him running the ball, but also if they do a play action, he can also still go out for a pass as well. So you got to watch him at all times. And that allows for every other guy in their team to make plays too, which is George, which is Debo, which is Ayuk. These guys all had amazing years. Not like one guy had an amazing, like Debo goes off, and then next year Kittle goes off, and then another year, then Ayuk has a great year. No, they all went off this year. Everybody had a great year, even Purdy. But as you can see, Purdy needs help. He needs somebody to run that ball for him. Because if he has to sit back and try to distribute to all of these guys, he can do it at times, but when you really need it, you're worried. You don't know. So honestly, CMC seems like the choice. He seems like he may be the only choice to actually take, one, because of durability, and two, because he's what makes that team go, in my opinion.
CMC is going to win. There's no question about it. Not only that, like it's not like I know you guys already said CMC is going to win, but I just want to put this stat even more. There is not even a competition. It's not even close. There's not. It's like there's no second thought. If you're a voter, it should go 100% to CMC. You know why is that? CMC put up almost 1,500 yards rushing, like you guys mentioned. And then another key stat to this is that the amount of times he's rushed for a first down this season has been 83 times. Well, let's look at some other players around, like Derrick Henry. He's rushed it for a first down only like 60 times this season. And Derrick Henry is number 2, by the way, in rushing yards this year. So CMC almost has over 20 more rushing first downs than CMC on less carries.
Yeah, I would assume Derek has more carries, definitely.
Yep. And let's let's just look at Tyreek Hill as the example here. Guess how many receiving first downs Tyreek Hill has this season?
Like 36.
No, he has a lot. He has 83 as well. So he's
Oh, okay.
tied with CMC with CMC rushing, which is a little more impressive than Tyreek Hill with receiving. But then we have to look at Christian McCaffrey in the receiving game, where he put up almost 600 yards and had another 31 receptions for a first down this season. So that means he's accounted for over 120 of the 110 first downs the San Francisco 49ers made this season by himself.
That's about a third of it, I would say, then, right?
Yeah,
You know how much they actually got as a team?
I can look it up real quick. 49ers.
Yeah, while you do that, I mean, honestly, Tyreek is another name that is out there, yes. The only thing is, like,
The tail end of the season, he fell off.
Yeah, he fell off. He said he was gonna get his 2,000 yards. He didn't get his 2,000 yards, and I was honestly waiting for that. He didn't do it, and it just you needed to make a difference. Like when your team needed to get wins, I needed you to be able to get them those wins, especially at the end of the year too. Like you said, just you need to keep it consistent. CMC did that throughout the whole year.
CMC, when the time came, he put the team on his back and won
And he
games.
sh he showed that he showed us that during this game as well.
Just to answer your question from before we go into that, they had 370 first downs this season. And so Christian
They had
McCaffrey had
almost
111.
30%.
Yes.
Almost had a third of their offensive first downs. Okay.
Insane stat.
Yeah.
But yes, let's talk about this next. I'm excited for this. Now that, this first for 28 teams in the NFL right now, the season is over. It's it happened. There needs to be a lot that needs to change, and for some teams, that means selecting a new quarterback to be the franchise face for the next decade. And this offseason, we're seeing probably one of the most talented quarterback classes we've seen in a long while. So, Karan, why don't you start us off with what your picks for this draft are, who these QB rankings are?
So my QB rankings are as follows. At 5, I have Michael Penix.
Okay.
At 4, I have Bo Nix.
Okay.
At 3, I have Drake May.
Okay.
At 2, I have Caleb Williams. And at 1, I have Jaden Daniels.
Where's JJ McCarthy at? Are you saying he's not even top 5?
He's 6.
Yeah,
Wow.
please.
Okay. But also Caleb below Daniels. Why do you have that? Let's hear this.
Watching his most competitive games. I've been watching Caleb Williams since he was at Oklahoma and Lincoln Riley's offense.
Yep.
I think with Caleb Williams, when it translates to the pro level, he is not seeing Brigham Young's defensive line. He's seeing Utah. He's seeing Notre Dame. He's seeing Georgia. He's seeing a lot of the top talent, even then, the 1%. And for him, he's overconfident in his arm. That is one thing I've notoriously seen. So when games get tight and when things get tough, especially in the NFL, I see him making glaring bad mistakes because he thinks he can do it. His arm talent is amazing. Don't get me wrong. Accuracy is solid. His decision making is what is going to be his downfall. And for me, I have JT Daniels, who can both run and pass efficiently, but he doesn't he plays within himself. He doesn't decide to overextend it, or he's not too cocky to say, this is a window I'm not supposed to throw into. I know I can't throw it into, but I'm still going to do it anyway because I had that arm. I don't see that in JT Daniels like I see in Caleb Williams. And so that's why I have JT ahead of Caleb Williams.
Okay. So I pretty much have a similar kind of ranking. I actually thought that my number 5 was going to be JJ McCarthy, then it's Bo, then it's Drake, then I have Jaden, and then I have Caleb as my number 1. I'm gonna disagree with you on a lot of this. I understand. I kind of understand where you're coming from. Where yes, he's over reliant on his arm talent, but I'm gonna have to say, look, this is what I'm gonna say about Caleb Williams. When it comes to his footwork, solid. When it comes to like he has the fundamentals down. I haven't seen him do too much crazy stuff. It's not perfect.
He does not have the fundamentals down. When you're
He
escaping the pocket,
does. He does. Well, he's escaping the pocket, yes, but that's not. But when we're
you're
talking about
always
just the
supposed to hold onto
fundamentals,
the ball with
footworks,
2 hands as you run, and he is consistently getting caught with 1 hand. You know how many fumbles I've seen, especially in
that's
youth.
that's not that is not that's ball security. That's not
And
footwork.
as a quarterback with your
I didn't know you
fundamentals,
had feet.
you're
I didn't know
going
the
to
football was carried by feet, Quran.
and maneuver the pocket and you're going to extend plays, you got to have two hands on the ball at all times. There is no time where you're supposed to run with it with one hand as you're looking for the wide receiver. Two hands as you move. That is a
I
fundamental thing.
When
Josh
it comes
McCown
to
has said
ball security, I'm giving you ball security. Yes, he's not that great at ball security. He definitely is a little bit over reliant on his talent, and ball security is definitely a minus. But I think his fundamental footwork when he's in the pocket and when he's out of the pocket, not his hands, not where the football is placed, but the more important aspects of playing quarterback is making sure your feet are set and making yourself on platform to make the throw. He is really good at that. And he is able with his
there's
arm
very few
talent.
quarterbacks in the NFL that are good at that.
Yeah, you're gonna have to be very wary of that, especially if he doesn't put two hands on the ball. Guys are swatting at the
The
ball
edge
when you're
rush,
in the
you're
pocket
not
all the
You
time.
can
against
you can
Brigham Young
instill that
who
into
gives
him.
you time. You're not
You can
playing
instill
Oh,
that into
outside.
him.
but
You're playing
you'd
catch and
much
release.
rather he comes into the NFL with that than you having to teach him
Yes,
that.
You're
but
gonna have
if
to
that's
teach
the
him.
only thing you have to teach him, because let's also look at this. He has the arm talent. That you can't teach talent. All right, you can teach ball security. You cannot teach arm talent. His arm talent is amazing. He's able to accurately make throws on the runs deep into coverage. Accurate like that's just insane. Like let's look for instance. All right, so I have some stats here from some 2023 games. We're gonna combine Oregon, Washington, Notre Dame, Utah. So for very top of the top 25 teams that he faced this season, right? We're looking at off platform deep throws, right? When he's off platform, he's hitting 50% of his deep accuracy on those off throws when against those four teams. And even when he's on platform, he's still hitting a nice 55%, which is almost better than anybody else in this quarterback class. And then when we're
And in
talking
those
about
games, and also in those games, he's thrown interceptions and fumbled the ball.
yes, ball security needs to be worked on. That's what I'm saying. I said that needs to be worked on, not just the fumbles. You're right. The picks too,
There
because
was
he
some
has that arm
several
talent. He can get away with
dumb
that stuff, and
decisions.
that's not going to be able to happen in NFL. I agree. However, when he's up against blitz, he's not panicking. He's not like it's not like okay,
Yes, he
it's
is.
not that he's
Oh,
panicking and
oh, yes,
throwing
he is.
picks.
That Notre Dame game,
No,
he
he's
threw
just
a dumb pick on
overconfident
blitz.
because of how good his arm is.
He threw it right to a defender. They were backed up into their own side. Notre Dame runs a blitz on him. He backpedaled, tried to throw it off his back foot right into the
But that's not
easy
panicking. I
interception.
think that's more of I know what you're
That's
saying with the
panicking.
blitz. I think that's more of I have the arm talent that I can do this. I don't have to. I can don't have to
Oh,
take a sack here. I can
so it's
just do this because
arrogance.
I have the arm talent to make this happen.
So he doesn't panic, but he's arrogant. He thinks that he's just so good that it doesn't matter. I could throw it off my
It's
back
going
foot.
to backfire. The NFL is not a game where you can be arrogant and think you can make every throw that you know that you're not supposed to do.
I think
Going to
that
backfire.
I think that's the. But if listen, if
That
that's
is a
his only
big
fault is that he is arrogant, I will take that 9 out of 10 times. Because
and you're
again, you
going
Question
to get
can't
a
teach
lot of bad interceptions.
talent, and it's
that is
not like
true.
You need
you
crucial
can't teach
moments.
talent. You can't
You
teach talent,
can't
and he's
teach it.
not
That is true.
lazy. He's not lazy.
No, I don't agree with that either. Yeah. Okay. So now the question I have for you here is, do you believe this is what we saw from Patrick Mahomes when he was at Texas Tech?
No, no, I don't think. I think this. You know what he reminds me more of? He reminds me more of like Jalen Hurts, where he. You know what? He might not come out of the gate. Amazing, but I think he has that potential if he puts the work in to be significantly better than Jalen Hurts because he has that arm talent.
So now, a big thing for me right now, what I'm thinking about with Caleb Williams, and I don't feel like he should go number one either, like Karan is saying, but I feel whoever takes him at quarterback is going to play him right away. And we know Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, they did not play right away, so they had a chance to be taught and molded into better passers. I don't think he's going to get that opportunity. So, which is why I agree
Think
with
so?
Karan that the things that he does now are not going to improve. I think they will only get worse because he's
The
not going to have a chance to actually improve on them. He's just
the
going to keep
only
doing what he's
thing,
been doing.
yes, yes, the only counter argument I have to this is I look at who's selecting at number one. Were the Bears an awful team, god awful team last year? Yes. Now, do they have the chance to maybe bring in some offensive linemen, help shore up that offensive line, and take Caleb Williams? And do I think he would have a successful year with them? Absolutely. Especially when you have established receivers. If you spend all of your money this offseason, which they have plenty, they have one of the top five cap spaces in the league to kind of bring in some offensive linemen, fix it up. You don't, it's not like they need five new offensive linemen. I think they have some solid pieces here and there. They just drafted their tackle last year in the top 10, and he looked, he struggled, but he looks like rookies are going to struggle sometimes. I think that they have a chance to be the right situation for him. This
And to
isn't
that,
like because
I
that's
say
also important too. Is the right
because
situation
of
for the
what
player.
GM Ryan Poles has done, keeping Matt Eberflus and only changing the offensive coordinator, they have faith in Justin Fields. So I have this belief, and a lot of Chicago Bears fans are in a tussle over this. But based on how the offseason has gone and what I'm looking at from an outside perspective on the Chicago Bears, Ryan Poles is going to keep Justin Fields. They're going to trade back from one, acclimate some pieces in the draft, and then really focus on the offensive line, like you stated, and just another wide receiver.
Now,
For,
but before because now we're getting a little off topic because now we're going to start talking about draft places, and that's my fault because I kind of talked about this.
No, you're
But
good.
I'm going to bring it back for a second because now all that we just mentioned about Caleb Williams, we just heard all of that, and you heard the counter to that. Let's talk about Daniels for a second.
Yes.
Well, I think he won the Heisman. He is a very good quarterback. I think he has a longer ways to go for his development than Williams does. His footwork is messy. He has a lot of. If you watch the games, he has a little hop, like a little false step that he takes sometimes. That you cannot happen. That cannot happen in the NFL. You cannot get bouncy. You cannot take these false steps. It's all about delivering everything on time. He cannot do that in the NFL. That's going to be, and working the footwork. That's going to take longer than trying to fix arrogance. I'm just saying that right now. So
no,
getting
not
that
disagree on that.
footwork down, because that is a big thing. Footwork is one of the most important aspects of quarterback. It
You
needs
can
it needs to get better.
solid
It needs
offseason.
to be better.
You can't.
His touch on his passes
Arrogance is a
still
mentality.
needs to what?
Arrogance is a mentality. You're gonna have to break your mentality, and Caleb is too cocky for that. Footwork, you can fix. Diligent preparation, you can fix footwork. You can't fix a mentality.
Okay. Well, I think I disagree with that, but okay. I also think that when it comes to his running ability, I think he has really playmaking ability high, much higher than Caleb Williams. Yes, and he has much better ball security. However, he does also have a tendency that when he gets out of the pocket, he's not looking at receivers anymore. He just wants to run the football. He wants to, you know what? It's like the loss of faith in trusting your offensive line, loss of faith in trusting your receivers, and just being like, I'm just going to do this myself. And he has a bad habit of doing that a lot as well. And that's going to be another mentality you have to break as well. And that's the same, that's going to be, you got to learn this stuff. I think it's going to take adjustment. And if he goes into the wrong situation, I can see issues like that expounding into serious issues. Like these are like right now, these are some small stuff that can happen, but like, that could become a serious issue. And then another, probably the most important thing, and we saw it this last year with Anthony Richardson. This dude does not care about his health. This dude is willing to just take hits every single day. And
Yeah, I don't
you
like that.
cannot do that in the NFL. These are the top 1% athletes, like you mentioned before. These guys will put you in the hospital. if you just keep taking hits like that. You cannot do that. You have to learn how to slide. You have to learn to just, hey, the play is dead. I'm going to throw the ball away. I'm just going to get down. The Tom Brady effect. I'm just going to get down. You cannot be like, I can make this play. I can try to do something here. I'm going to get this extra yard or two and make something happen. No, he has to cut that out as well. So I think there's a lot of stuff that
Hmm.
he has to work on more than I think Caleb Williams, which is why I have Caleb Williams above him. Because while I think Caleb Williams is arrogant and he has problems with ball security, I think his fundamentals are there. He knows how to protect himself, and he knows, and he just has better footwork. He just has better fundamentals coming out of college, which is what you need in the NFL. That means, because, when you come in from the draft, you're already working on a shorter time period than like everyone else on the team because you're getting acquainted to being in the NFL plus going through training camp. So to have less to worry about working on your fundamentals during that time period, I think he's set up to have more success early on than Jaden Daniels is, which is why I have him over Daniels.
Ball security is a part of fundamentals. If you can't secure the ball, you're costing your team
Hey,
possessions.
hey, man, threw how many picks this rookie season?
As opposed to
Everybody knows
turning,
this.
as opposed to fumbles. That's different. Because you could work on picks. You're working on reading defenses and things like that, and timing as well. That's another thing. Holding on to the football is holding on to the football. Like, if you don't put two hands on it, then I can see that being an issue. And I feel like, yes, he could definitely work on this in the offseason. Literally just have him in drills where you're just prodding at him while he's in the pocket all day long. Because if you have one hand on the football when you're in the pocket, defenders, that's all they're going to do anyway, because that's what they're doing currently right now. They're swatting when you're loading up to pass right now. They're not even looking to rush you anymore. They're saying, okay, cool. I see his arm motion going. I'm jumping up. I'm gonna bat the ball down. Oh, he's about to do it. Okay, I'm coming around the edge. Swat down and then smack it out. And especially the same thing when he gets out the pocket. He better watch out because you're gonna have a 300-pound guy running behind you. You might not even notice him. That
running a
right out
four,
your hand.
running a 4-4. They are not running 4-6s. They are running 4-2, running 4-3s, and
If
are running
but
4-4.
here's the thing: going into training camp, I would much rather have to just sit with my quarterback with, just doing every single day, just put two hands on the ball drills every single day, and then maybe once in a
That's
while
what
I'll be like, all
instead of
right,
teaching the offense. You have to waste time teaching that so you can teach the offense instead of
um,
the
that
offense.
I would take that rather than having to work on the fundamentals of footwork with my quarterback for the whole first half of training camp. Yes. And also having to teach my quarterback how to slide because obviously he doesn't know how to do that right now.
Flag school. I forgot what quarterback that was a couple of years ago. Oh man, but I look. I mean, these are both of the. These are two top guys, and I mean, I feel fit is a big thing for any quarterback anyway.
That's all. At the
Just
end of the day, that's what it comes down to the most. You saw. I don't think
Jaden
there was that
might
big of a difference between Bryce Young and CJ Stroud. It's just that one got put into an amazing situation and one got put into a shitty situation, and that's just how the cookie crumbles sometimes.
correct. I think Jaden may have a better chance of being a better quarterback just because of where he's going to get drafted to. But I mean, Caleb's going to have the opportunity definitely at the beginning of
I'll
his
I'll
career.
I'll talk a little bit about Drake. I think Drake is also really good, but I think Drake is like I think he's really a game manager.
I see
I
him
kind
as
of see him as like a Jared Goff almost, where it's
a
just like,
better Mitchell Trubisky.
yes, I think he has good
He
footwork.
can run. He can
Mitch,
throw.
Mitch Trubisky. Whoa, whoa,
I don't
whoa.
think he can
Please
run
don't
that
say that.
much.
Please don't say Mitch Trubisky.
I don't think he has that much playmaking ability. That
He's
like,
a solid runner. Out of North Carolina, several games that I've watched, he's a solid. If he needs to put his foot down and run, he can do it. He can do it solidly. Not at an exceptional level, but he can move. He can move the chains if need be. His thing is short to intermediate, reading the field
yes,
and
blitzing.
blitzes. Yeah, recognizing where the blitzes are coming from. So
Good.
reading defenses and his accuracy in the intermediate. But Drake May is just a better Mitchell Trubisky in my eyes.
I don't like that comparison at all.
I think he's more of like a Jared Goff. I think he
I
has
like
the
that one.
potential to be a good game manager. I don't think he has
Jared
that
Goff
great
hit the middle.
running
Drake May
ability.
has
I
thrown
think
so many picks throwing into the middle of the field. Even in college, Jared Goff was more accurate on the intermediate and deep. Drake May has had a horrendous season throwing into the middle of the field.
I don't know. I think what it comes down to is I think May what he needs is he needs to work on his like internal clock. I think a lot of the I think it's that internal clock in his head. I think just being out of rhythm is leading to a lot of inaccuracy. But I think if he goes in, again, like we said before, if he goes into the right situation, I think it could be potentially good. If he goes into the wrong situation, I think it can be even more, Mitch Trubisky bad. If he goes into the right situation, maybe like Jared Goff. If he goes into the bad situation, like Mitchell Trubisky, that's what I think about him.
I think Mr. Trubisky even went into a bad situation. I just think Mr. Trubisky's not that good.
No, no, I'm not saying that Mitch Trubisky was in a bad situation. I'm saying that if he goes into a bad situation, he'll probably end up like a
Oh,
Mitchell
end up.
Trubisky.
Got
Yes.
you.
And then last four or four, not last. For my four, we both have him is Bo Nix, who
Bo Nix, he has what I see that he has is experience,
yeah,
tons of experience. He's been playing college football for like 6 years, from Auburn to Oregon. He has been through so many offensive coordinators, so many head coaches. He's got the experience to know how to handle both in a culture standpoint, a leadership standpoint. He just doesn't. For me, it just looks like I'm watching just another average quarterback when I watch him play. Like he is truly
definitely.
a system quarterback. He
He,
needs pieces.
yeah,
If you're going to draft him, you gotta have the offensive pieces that are there to go. All right, you could just don't throw bad picks because he has the experience to read keys, read players, read defenses to go. All right, that's a bad situation. Let me audible into this. He has that experience to see it.
yeah.
His fundamentals are solid. He does. He's not like an electric runner. He only runs to stave off bad plays. Knows when to throw it away. For me, his experience is what puts him in my top five, just not in the top three because he just doesn't have that wow factor to me. He's like, if I were to compare him now, he's like Dak Prescott.
I think that's being too generous. I think my comparison to him, because Dak Prescott is really good. Um, I
Oh,
think my potential comparison to him is more of a Geno Smith. I think he
No,
has the accuracy. He has good ball security. He does everything good, not great, but good enough where, he will win you games. I don't think he has that playmaking ability to be the reason why you win games like Geno Smith. Like when I look
Dak
at Geno
Prescott
Smith,
is the
that's
same thing. You don't win because of Dak Prescott. You just hope he doesn't throw you a disastrous interception.
I think Geno Smith is a much more fair comparison. Eh,
Uh, I'll disagree with you on that one. I see more
Okay,
Dak.
but I again on Bo, I think he also has terrible footwork. He's gonna need to, even though he has good accuracy, especially because he doesn't really have that much playmaking ability, he has to get his footwork down so he's on time. Because he also has a problem of when your footwork starts getting bad, you start becoming more off time on your throws. And that is the one problem I see with him is you can see in how he kind of like takes his dropbacks that sometimes he's not consistently hitting the back of the pocket, and he's not, and it's just causing his throws when that happens to just become a little erratic, and it's just causing him to kind of break down his decision making because now all of a sudden that clock is not ticking how it's supposed to be ticking, and he kind of does a little panic. So I think he needs to probably work on that to get into the in this offseason to see. But I think in the right situation, he has potential to be a starter.
I disagree with you
Earning.
on that because the extension of watching him against Washington, watching him against Utah, and watching him against USC, facing several situations where he has to really process a field, that's where you see the inconsistency. He's a first read. If I know where my ball is, if I know the route, know the defense, I'm throwing to he's a first read guy. Once he gets to past his second to his third and his fourth, that's where his accuracy dips or his
Well,
footwork.
it's different because when he's getting to he doesn't know what to do with his feet during those times. Like, go watch it. Like, what he misses the first read. The first read's not open. Okay, now I gotta get to my second read. But while he's trying to get to that second read, his footwork just completely disappears. And then when you have that happen, that's when all of a sudden you're not seeing his as accurate, or it's not on as time, and all of a sudden he starts making mistakes. And I think if he improved this footwork, he would be really good in the league. He has the ability to make off-platform throws. He has the ability to not run, but roll out of the pocket and make an accurate pass. But he just needs to get that fundamental footwork down, so that way when he's in the pocket, he can make an accurate pass on time.
All right.
And then I actually have JJ McCarthy above Michael Penix. And that I think it's purely because I see
L.
JJ McCarthy has more running ability, and he's JJ McCarthy has. I think he has
If
just
it's
like
not in his face and he has to throw it accurately deep down the field, it's not happening. Michael Penix with his left hand with his left pinky has more accuracy than JJ McCarthy.
Why
no,
you being disrespectful, bro?
no. Here's the problem with Penix, and why I have him below him is Penix is first of all older talent. He's like 24, 25 going into the league. Brandon Whedon, I'm not gonna just saying Brandon Whedon ultimately. Brandon Whedon was
But isn't
28,
that the
but
same thing about Bo Nix then?
I don't think so. But
Yes,
we'll
both
get there.
is the same age.
He just
They're the
said Bo
same
Nix
age, yes.
played in college for 5 or 6 years.
Yes. Okay. But and then here's the but though. I
All JJ
think
McCarthy
I
has
think Michael Penix has shown it.
the
If
running.
you put pressure on him, everything is off the table. Everything, like his first read, his second read, his footwork, his decision making, it all just goes out the ear. So, and then this is the difference between the Bo Nix being older and Penix being older. When Nix, his problem is just getting the footwork down. That, okay, he's an older quarterback. He should have gotten this down, but we can work on that. Penix, you've been here for like how many years in college? Like 4 or 5 years. When you cannot break down when a blitz is coming. You saw what happened. Last week when the Bucks played the Eagles, and they were like, "Oh, the Eagles don't know how to take the blitz on." So guess what the Bucks do? They called 66% of their snaps for blitz calls. Do you not see what's going to happen for Penix if everyone just goes, "Oh, this guy, if you blitz him, he can't read it. He's going to break down."
Yeah. Yeah.
So guess what they're going to do? They're going to tear him apart in the league. Tear him apart. Defenses are going to come out running 70% blitzes, bro. It's all right, cool. Well, we don't got to worry about anything. As long as we blitz him, we can leave guys wide open because he
Yeah.
can't, everything just goes out. Like, you
And
saw
I
it
think
against Michigan.
that is the case, yeah. When I would take somebody who's arrogant like Caleb, because he's gonna be like, all right, cool, blitz me. I see this guy's open. I don't even care if I'm throwing off my back foot. I don't care if it's cross body. I'm gonna make it to him. So I can see that, yeah. I can see that.
Yeah, no, JJ McCarthy is 6. JJ McCarthy is
And I agree with that too. I don't see JJ being above Michael Penix, even though Penix is older, and also you could say that he has that issue with blitzes. JJ is just,
he's inaccurate.
yeah, he's inaccurate. Michigan got a lot out of him than what I
Because
actually think
a
he is.
offensive line and a dominant run game. They
I'm
Run
not
didn't
game.
saying, okay,
start
He's
let me
like a
rephrase this.
Purdy.
I'm not saying JJ is going to be a starting quarterback. I think JJ's ceiling right now is probably like Desmond Ritter ish, where it's like he can make maybe win you some games. He's definitely going to lose you some games because of his accuracy, but I think he's going to be a more. I think he's going to be a better like solid backup than um Penix will be. I just don't like. He's just it just sucks because he's starting off as an older quarterback, so that means less time, and it just means less time for teams to like want like be willing. I mean, think about this: he's going to be almost 30 when he's coming off his rookie deal.
Yeah. Hmm. I think currently right now, still, I would rather take Penix. I would rather take him, try to develop him, rather than JJ. I just feel JJ is too inaccurate. You literally need his offense to be a run first offense where he can depend on a run game, depend on play action. He will scramble at times, but is he really that accurate out the pocket? No.
Ravens draft JJ in the 3rd round. Who says no?
Nope.
Me?
Nope. Yeah,
Hell,
that's a no. They already tried that with Trace McSorley, man. Nah, they ain't doing that.
Hey, he's a good backup. That's all you need.
That Trace McSorley is not a good backup. That's why he's not the backup there anymore.
Chase McSorley is not even on. Where's Chase McSorley?
I have no idea. I know he's not on the
Exactly.
Ravens. That's all I need to know. Exactly. Yep. But look, I see Penix is if you get him pass catchers that are good, which there are a lot of them in the league right now, he can do some things. And if a defense wants to blitz him all day long and he can't get it off, then that's why you're a backup, man. But JJ, he could just not even be in the league by the end of his rookie deal. I see it that way. Too
I don't know.
reliant.
I'm not really high on either of these guys, but I
Yeah.
think I would rather if I'm a team, I'd rather take a flyer on JJ than Penix. But that's just how I think. Again, I'm definitely not advocating that either of these guys will be a starter. I do
Yeah.
not believe so.
Oh,
I do
definitely
not
not.
believe like be starting quarterbacks in the NFL.
Got
I
you.
think at best case scenario, both of these guys are backups. But if I'm a team, I would much rather I think have JJ McCarthy as my backup than Michael Penix because of age, because of just especially because
Mobility.
when you have a mobility, when they think about this, because we've seen this happen a lot. As soon as a team brings in like something happens to the starting quarterback, the backup comes in. What's the first thing that defenses are going to do? Blitz. We're
Blitz.
blitzing.
This guy can't handle it. Blitz.
Exactly. And so now they're already going to do that. And now on top of that,
Yeah,
you have a quarterback coming in that can't handle the blitz.
yeah,
I'm
And then,
pulling engage. I see Michael
and
Pierce coming
again,
into the game.
you can have
Engage 8.
an
Engage 9.
inactive running quarterback. They blitz him. He runs out. You have the check down 3 yards in front of you, and he
he
overthrows
misses
it for a pick.
it. Yep, I can see that happening. Yep, but at least he can get away from the blitz, though, Karan.
Hey, there's a chance that he throws it for a pick. There's also a chance he runs out of the pocket and gets a
True.
1 yard gain. I'll take the 1 yard gain.
All right. So now my question to you guys is, who do you think because you guys named Caleb, he named Jaden, Drake May. Do you think all of those guys are day one starters, or do you think it's just the top two, which is Jaden and
Oh, they're
uh
all. They just have to be in the right situation.
I think
you
it's
think even
Especially
Drake
all
Drake May.
May?
about situation.
Drake May has to be in the right situation for him to
I
really
think
succeed. He's a
I think
starter.
all three
I think they
quarterbacks.
all
It's not
need to be
even
in the right
all of them.
situation.
All of them need to be in the right situation. You
Because
know,
none of these guys are like a Andrew Luck or a RG3 where it's like these guys are generational talents. Like it doesn't matter where they go. Like they have to go one or two.
no, I'm going to
Don't say
disagree with
that
that.
about Caleb. That is not Caleb
I am
Williams.
saying talent wise, Caleb Williams is a generation talent.
No,
The
he's not.
problem we're having is about his ball handling and his arrogance.
And we didn't have any of those questions about Andrew Luck or RG3.
But what I'm
They had
saying
no
is
question
in
marks.
arm talent and like quarterback and understanding the football game, understanding
Okay, Josh
reading
Herbert.
Yes.
defenses,
Justin Herbert has arm talent. Josh
There you
Allen
go.
has arm talent.
There you go.
and those are good
Out of,
quarterbacks.
no, but
Why is that
out
a
of
bad
no,
thing?
But they don't
I
have
would
out of
players.
I would
college.
gladly give up
Scott
everything for a
from the
Justin
pro.
Herbert
We're
kind of player on
saying
my team.
out of college though, they were not generational talents that you were like they have to go one. They have to go number one. And if they don't go number one, they're going number two because the other guy goes number one.
No, Caleb Williams is that.
It's gonna happen, but it's not because he's a generational talent. It's because everybody in the league chooses a quarterback number one overall now. That's why.
I
I
disagree.
think
I think even if it wasn't that case, I think he would still be the first overall pick. He's that good.
Marvin Harrison would definitely be it then. That's a guy who it doesn't matter
That's
who his quarterback is.
talent.
That's
Marvin
a gen. Thank
Jr.,
you. That's a
that's
generational talent.
that can flip an offense. That one guy can flip an offense.
Yep.
Route running, A1. Hands, A1.
A1.
They're not
Man
speed,
is A1, bro.
A1.
He the
Marvin Harrison
sauce.
Jr.
He the
That's
sauce you throw on it. You finish the dish with Marvin Harrison. Yo, he said
But
A1.
when it comes to, but here's the thing: when it comes, and this is something maybe we'll discuss next week, which is I'm
Yeah.
going to have a very controversial opinion because I know I was just talking a lot of good things about them, but then I kind of had like a sit down moment, and I think I'm kind of leaning the other way now. I'm going to talk about the Detroit Lions draft and how even though all of those players have panned out this season, I
Mhm.
don't actually think in the long term it was a good idea for them. And we're going to talk about position value and how you build teams and why it's so important for, yes, maybe this season the team's doing good, but in the long run, it's going to hurt the team more. And I think this is the reason why quarterbacks are taking first now, and it's because of this positional value. I would much rather have a really good quarterback than a really good wide receiver. That's just it is. Because guess what happens? We look at the Buffalo Bills. Where's my number one wide receiver? Not doing shit. Who's the number one receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs? Like,
Rasheed
Rasheed
Rice,
Rice.
yeah, Rasheed Rice. Yeah,
and he's doing solidly.
he's doing okay. He's
Well,
not
it's
like he's
year one,
breaking the game.
like you
So
said, it's
again,
1 year. Yeah.
positional value. That's what I'm saying. I know Rasheed Rice is the number one. I was more of like a rhetorical question where it
Yes,
was
yes,
like,
yes.
it doesn't matter. They won because Patrick Mahomes is the better quarterback.
Yes. Okay. So that is something we'll probably talk about next week. Definitely, I could definitely see that happening. Um, at this point, yeah, we've gone through the teams that just played in this last weekend, which was the divisional round. After that, went over offensive rookie of the year, offensive player of the year, and defensive player of the year, knocking me Antoine Winfield, but good try, Josh. And we're gonna see what quarterbacks will be coming out the draft and who's going to be the top ones. All right, right. You guys got anything else you want to talk about?
I think the only thing I'm going to say is for like next week, we should probably talk about. I do want to talk about offensive rookie, defensive rookie of the year.
Gotcha.
We're definitely going to talk about what's gonna happen in this coming up weekend in conference championship games. I'm excited to see what's going to happen there.
And yeah, I mean that seems good. I mean we'll have some other stuff, but as of right now, those are the couple of things that we'll be talking about next week. Definitely. You're good too, Karan, right?
I am solid.
All right. And that's what it. That's with me, Josh, and Karan. All right. This is the Jag podcast with just a couple of guys, high school flameouts, so don't listen to us. We don't know what we're talking about.
We don't know
But
jack shit.
but
It's all on top of our heads.
we don't know Jag. Okay, I got you. See, this guy got jokes now. But we're out.